Our regular town council meeting of Thursday, January 22, 2026. For those of you who weren't here, we had our call to order with the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Without objection from council, we'll incorporate the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance into this meeting. Without objection, we'll do it. Roll call, please, for this meeting. Madam Clerk.
Mayor Foley?
Here.
Vice Mayor Atwater?
Here.
Councilmember Carroll? Here. Councilmember Tedesco?
Here.
Let the record show all members are present with the exception of Councilmember Tedesco, Councilmember Altieri.
Thank you. Item 2, agenda reordering, deletions, or emergency additions. Are there any requests from council to reorder, delete items, or add items to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I think there was a circulation around regarding possibly changing the council meeting date in June. Do you want me just to cover it under councilman items, or do we want to add it to the agenda?
We can add it to the agenda under council member items and vote on it at that time as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yes, Mr. Mayor, that would be fine.
Okay, so then I'll make a motion to add that to councilman items.
All right. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We'll keep you in suspense until item number 7 as to what the date of the change will be. Okay, we have, are there any other items under number 2? There being none, we'll move to item 3, which is presentations and proclamations. We have no proclamations today. We have a presentation on Sector 4 and Sector 5 of our beaches by Mr. Bergman, the Coastal Resource Manager of Indian River County. Thank you, Mr. Bergman, for coming and enlightening us with the current state of affairs with our beaches in Sector 4 and 5. We've all seen a lot of activity there, so we're interested to see what's been happening. So the floor is yours.
Of course. Thank you so much for the invitation. Glad to come and present to Town Council this morning. Obviously, the beaches are near and dear to my heart, as many residents and community members here. So happy to explain what's going on out there. Obviously, we have had quite a bit of activity on the beach, so I'm here to present on that. One thing I like to do with all my presentations is start with why. Why is the county involved in beach work? Why is the county doing nourishment? So here at the county, we believe that the beach is really important for 3 major areas. That's recreation, the economy, as well as environmental impact. So those three topics are kind of a guiding force for why we do what we do. Obviously, here in Peninsular Florida, we get visited by hurricanes, unfortunately, once in a while. So I include some photos here, like we do have infrastructure damage once in a while. So the beach renourishment is a strategy that the county pursues ever since 1988, when the county got serious about its beach preservation work. We every couple 5 years or 10 years, we evaluate all of the strategies to remediate coastal erosion. So the coastal erosion is the driving force behind why we're doing a lot of what we do. If we were to stop managing the beaches, coastal erosion is not going to stop. The seas are still going to come after us, hurricanes are still going to occur, and then the beaches are going to be more and more deflated. There's a theory out there, it's called the coastal squeeze. When the ocean is coming up and the buildings do not move, the beach experiences a squeeze. So our program at the Natural Resources Department manages this and addresses that. So for today's presentation, I'm going to go over, review the performance of the previous Sector 4 project, and then touch upon a Sector 5 update as we are actively in construction. So just to set the stage, back in 2022, we were visited by Hurricanes Ian and Nicole. Hurricane Ian gave us 11-foot waves offshore. Hurricane Nicole, 19-foot waves offshore. In our post-storm engineering report, our engineers calculated that we experienced about 19 feet of erosion inside of our Sector 4 area. The town of Indian River Shores is unique because you stretch across part of our Sector 3 area, our Sector 4 area, and Sector 5. So just as a timeline for where we have been and where we are going in regards to Sector 4. I put together this timeline to explain after the hurricanes in 22. In May of 23, the board directed staff to pursue a project. In 24, we got our permit. Later that year in 24, we awarded our project to a contractor. Construction completed in April of 25. Now, over the summer of 2025, we completed our immediate post-construction monitoring. That is the first stage of the monitoring that is required for these projects. Moving forward through the future years, we have the same monitoring is going to be required in the summer of 26, 27, 28. We skip a year and then come back in 2030 to look at everything again. In 2030, it's only physical monitoring. I'll get to that in a second. Sector 4 is about 3 miles long. It was designed to place 135,000 cubic yards, as well as close to 150,000 plants. The main goal of their Sector 4 project is a dune repair. So a little bit of anatomy on the beach. We have a upland dune where the plants are growing, where we do not normally walk. We have dune crossovers that go over that area, and then where we walk, where we put our umbrellas and our beach towels, is what we call the beach berm. So this project was mainly focused at putting sand in the dune, where that was majorly affected by Hurricanes Ian and Nicole. Very different than a beach project where we would actually be placing sand in the water. That's important because a project that places sand in the water comes with even more environmental monitoring, like Sector 5, which I'll touch upon briefly. The entire project of Sector 4, over 3 miles, it's not all the same exact design. There are some fluctuations based on the natural movements of that coastline. So anywhere between 9 to 20 feet of dune is where what we were able to place without having any sand go into the water. So, like I said, these projects do not come very easily. It took us in the timeline you saw, it took us about 1 year to acquire the permit. That is astonishing. These permits are quite thick. They not only go through DEP, FWC, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, all of that government alphabet soup that it has to go through all of these reviews and iterations and back and forth. So to get this permit in a year is amazing. Hats off to our consultant who was able to help us pull this off. These permits are great to cure any sleep issues you have. They will put you to sleep, but they do call out all of the monitoring that's required after we finish construction. So not only does it call out what we can and cannot do during construction, it has all the specific sand specifications that we must put down on the beach. And if we have any fluctuations in there, then we have remediation that we have to go through. So for Sector 4, we have shorebird monitoring that we accomplished, sea turtle monitoring that we accomplished and will continue accomplishing in the future years, escarpment monitoring, and the physical monitoring. The physical monitoring is when we send out surveyors and they measure the beach. They get an XYZ of that beach, just like any professional surveyor could do. However, this one's unique is that our beaches are not just what's above water. Majority of the beach is actually underwater. So we have a boat that surveys the bottom of the ocean floor about a half mile out, or about 40 feet deep. So it's quite a bit of data that we're gathering. For those that are here during the summer and winter, you will notice your own observations that we have our beaches move in the summer and winter time. So that is it. In the wintertime, we have most of our beach goes underwater, it goes offshore, and in the summertime, those waves bring that beach sand material back onto the dry beach. Again, extensive monitoring. Where we're at now is after construction, the final volume was about 117,000 cubic yards. Then over the summer, in June of 2025, we collected those profiles from the surveyor again, and then our consultant puts together this permit-required physical monitoring report. I did you all the favor of reading it and reviewing it myself. The skinny is these 3 bullets right here. The dune system, which if you think at a contour of 10 feet above sea level, at that elevation, if we just look at that contour, it advanced towards the ocean 23 feet on average. That's great. I just told you that the hurricanes took away about 19 feet of dune. On average, we were put 23 feet of dune back. The shoreline at elevation half foot advanced 6 feet. Like I told you, we didn't put any sand in the water on the beach berm. This is a good sign that we had a little bit of we didn't see a lot of erosion. The hurricane itself moved a lot of that sand that 20 feet of dune. Where'd that sand go? Well, it's matter. It doesn't disappear. It goes somewhere. So that 20 feet of dune, the hurricanes moved it offshore. It took some outside of our system, outside of the 40 feet area of influence, and some of it remained in that 40 feet deep of influence. So over that summer, we saw some of that sand coming back, which is great, as expected. In all, the project had a positive volumetric change in our project area. Touch upon our sea turtle season. We had great success this last summer. Green sea turtles actually broke the county record. And then we did have, I told you we do monitor for escarpments. The fine folks at Johns Island Association helped us get onto the beach and address those escarpments. Escarpments are those sand cliffs that can occur. We are required to monitor those if we have a persistent, so there's a certain requirement. If it meets that requirement, we are then to notify FWC, DEP. They then direct us on how they want us to address it. In this case, every 20 feet, we took some hand crews out there with shovels and we knocked down the escarpment. That allows the sea turtles to access the full area of nesting habitat. Our final nesting report is not available yet. It does have to go through FWC for final review, and they will be the ones addressing any data concerns or any impacts that the turtles then experienced because of our project. However, anecdotally, we didn't see any alarms. We would have noticed that during the nesting season, so it's just a matter of waiting for the final report at this point. Lastly, for Sector 4, we did install plants. We got close to 150,000 native salt-tolerant dune plants. Our projects, our permits, we place majority of sea oats. We do some sunflower, some panic grass, and railroad vine. Those are some florals that we put in there to add a little bit of color, and diversity is good. We don't want to have a monoculture of plants out there. A diverse habitat is a strong habitat. In May of 25, we did an inspection, and our plants met our permit specifications for survivorship, which is good, meaning that our subcontractor that provided the plants provided us good plants. As far as the vegetation goes, I thought it was important to note that there's no further monitoring required for our dune plants. Any questions on Sector 4 before I dive into the next sector? All right. Briefly again, our timeline. So November of 2025, we started construction in the Sector 5 area. We anticipate completion in April of 2026. I'd also like to point out that a lesson learned that we did from Sector 4 that we carried forth into Sector 5 is that we, in the contract that the bidders went for, we actually worked in no work periods around the holidays. Community members really showed a positive response to that. We wanted to carry that forward in the Sector 5 area since we not only are working inside of Indian River Shores, but the Vero Beach as well. The added traffic during the holidays, let's just take a break, send the contractor home, and it worked out really well. This upcoming summer, we're going to have our immediate post-construction monitoring, and then again, just like Sector 4, we have all of the out years of monitoring that is permit required that we'll be conducting as well. The Sector 5 project is a little over 3 miles. It does include the very southern portion of Indian River Shores, 153,000 cubic yards, very similar to what we placed in Sector 4, a little less plants. And then this project is designed to place sand in the beach berm as well. So not only are we doing a dune project, but we are putting sand in the beach berm. Again, this is to address all of the sand that we lost from Hurricanes Ian and Nicole. as far as where we're at today, we have active construction on the north side of Tracking Station to Mariner Village, and the project will meet up with Sector 4 quite nicely. So we'll marry those two ends of the project together, making a contiguous dune line, which is going to be great because it'll be over 6 miles long. The contractor has opted to work out of 2 access points simultaneously, which is great for us. Just got to split my team in half, that's fine. We're also working in the heart of Vero Beach at the moment in the hotel and restaurant district. So the southern part of the project will be completed last. What's completed now is there in blue. That's from Tracking Station down to the end of the Con Beach Boardwalk. All right, so permit required monitoring is very similar. However, because we are placing sand on the beach, which will be interacting with the water, we are required to do near shore reef monitoring. So this is an example photo of what our reef looks like. Surprise, we don't have a coral reef. We're not that quite warm. We're not the Florida Keys. We have what's called a worm rock reef. Still very important for fish habitat. It is a protected habitat. If we were to have any sort of impact, we would have to mitigate for those. A lot of algae. There's a lot of different animals in here. Again, if you want to see that monitoring report, it's quite lengthy. But just need to point that out, that we also send, and for that the most important part is for the reef monitoring, it's all diver verified. We have transects set, and divers go out, biological scientific divers go out, and they monitor all of the animals and plants that they can find on the reef and see how the reef is responding to our project. So that will be occurring in the future for Sector 5. With that, I kind of went fast, save you guys some time maybe, but with that, I'd love to take any questions you may have.
All right, starting left to right, any questions? Councilman Carroll, I know you've got some experience with beach and shores, so.
No questions. Excellent presentation. Thank you very much for the information.
Of course.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. Vice Mayor Alwater.
One question regarding Sector 5. Are there any properties that because of easement issues chose not to get sand?
Yes. Yes. Our easement map that is available online, indianriver.gov/easements. Everyone can see the status of all of the easements that we do have and do not have. We did have, on a silver lining, we did have one individual, new owner, built a house in Sector 5, did come forward, and we have a new signed easement that's under review right now. But we still do, to answer your question, yes, we have a handful of properties that have declined signing the easement. Therefore, we do not have legal permission to place sand on the property in front of their beach.
Were they mostly commercial properties?
Commercial properties or residential? I'd say it's a good mix.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. You covered the easement question that I had, and just expressing an opinion. It's somewhat self-defeating for people not to sign an easement to get free sand replenishment on their property. So I know there's nothing we can do legally as governments, but hopefully folks will see the light. Just question: we had back-to-back storms, and not every storm needs to be a hurricane category storm that causes some terrible erosion. We had a 2 or 3 day storm which was relatively mild in terms of hurricane strength. It wasn't even hurricane strength, 30, 40 mile an hour, but the sustained onshore winds created erosion. So that coupled with Ian and the other hurricanes we've had, how many years typically does it take for the beach to recover from one storm, notwithstanding the fact that you may have 2 or 3 in a row?
Great question, Mr. Mayor. And you bring up several really good points. The media and the folks, we really latch on to the named storms. So why I focus on Hurricanes Ian and Nicole. Those are also declared storms. So when it comes time for FEMA, there's some implications there. But you're right, the background erosion just from nor'easters or regular storm events, wind events, that still causes coastal erosion. So it's not just the named storms that are damaging our shoreline. The nor'easters definitely don't gather as much publicity as the named storms, but it does, in a normal situation where we had a storm or an erosion event every few years, the beach very well could respond naturally to it. But we have so many storms occurring so frequently that it doesn't give the beach enough time to respond. Another aspect of it is, and this is what's discussed a lot in the coastal engineering field and coastal management field, is that human developments. You know, we might, you know, what, in the 70s and 80s, maybe in the 60s, we started really developing our barrier island systems. We put our roads down, we put our businesses down, we put neighborhoods down, all for that desire to be closer to the ocean. However, when we did that, our buildings don't move, but the barrier island has been moving before human development. So when we humans, we draw a line in the sand and say, yep, this is my building, it's not gonna move. Well, that isn't gonna jive so well with the Mother Nature who is moving that barrier island back and forth. To get to your point though, this project, we look at erosion rates, so we know how much the beach is eroding. About, you know, layman's terms, easy numbers, call it 1 to 2 feet a year. That's how much our shoreline is eroding. So average that out, all the hurricanes, all the nor'easters, 1 to 2 feet a year. We come into with a project and place, we push that shoreline out 5 feet. Well, simple math, it's gonna be back to where it was in about 5 years. So this project is designed between 5 to 7 years. And then thank you for bringing this up too, because it's really important that folks know that beach renourishment is not a solution. This is a management strategy to deal with coastal erosion. It's not going to solve coastal erosion. Coastal erosion is a global issue, but what we're doing is to manage our local area in order to make sure that we can retain that recreation value, economic value, and environmental values.
Thank you. This is more an observation than it is a question, so I'll give you a little breather before I have a question for you after this. While you gave an excellent presentation on the county and its involvement in doing this, you tend to, let's call it, take the lead on this, but it's really a cooperation between the federal, state, county, and our local governments here. And is it fair to say that, you know, the laws and regulations that are in place, from everything from protecting dunes and crossovers and plantings, those are minimum standards, and, you know, towns and county and municipalities throughout the state can adopt stricter standards to do more plantings, create more protection for dunes, crossovers, and our beaches?
Yeah, that's my understanding of it. Right, so a good example is what we're doing on our nourishment projects. The state has state-adopted sand metrics, so grain size, color, silt content, carbon content. That is set at this level. In our beach management plan, we can take a more refined look at what our local area is, our 22 miles, not 800 miles of beach line, or coastline, which is the state's doing, and we actually adopt a more stringent or more narrow window of specifications for our sand quality. So sand quality, it's very important. We want it to match what we have historically and what we match aesthetically. All of those aspects come into what sand we're going to get. But yeah, that's a very good point. Good point.
All right, last, and then we'll let you go. The timing, you touched on it. The timing of doing these projects and trying to minimize the inconvenience to folks who are here for holidays. Occasionally we get inquiries, why do we do this at the time? And I say the collective we, because you know, we're involved somewhat in the timing. We even got an inquiry recently from a fellow who was not getting what he thought were answers from his municipality. So he said, you guys, you know, seem to be responsive. So why do we do this at the times that seem most inconvenient when we're having people down? And you know, I think I think it's important to note that between turtle nesting season and, the applications for permits and getting this stuff done before the next season comes, it is a relatively limited window, is it not, to do this stuff? And so, ideally, if we could do it within 2 weeks after the storm, we do it, but then we're bumping up against turtle season. Is that fair to say?
Exactly, Mr. Mayor. The permits, everything we do is directed by the permits. So the state does not allow us to go into construction in between May to November. That is the peak nesting season for sea turtles as well as the peak hatching season. Not only are they nesting, those nests have to incubate and then hatch out. If we were to come in, and we had this year roughly about 10,000 nests across 22 miles. So quite a substantial of threatened and endangered species nesting on our shoreline. If we were to go and do a construction project while those nests are incubating, there'd be a lot of issues. So our permits luckily do allow us to do construction in the beginning of the sea turtle nesting season as well as right after nesting season. So with the permission of FWC, we put in place extra precautions for sea turtles. If we have nests, there's mechanisms in the permit that allow us to continue with construction. But that is the major point of why are we doing what is a very inconvenient construction project in the bulk of the winter when a lot of visitors are visiting the state of Florida. It's because of that seasonality. But you're right.
All right, thank you. That's it for me. I think I speak for council when I say we'll do our level best to cooperate and do whatever we can, not just to meet minimum standards, but also to maximize whatever we can do to preserve and protect our valuable shoreline. Councilman Tedesco, the problem with cleaning up is there anything left that you have to? You're hitting cleanup, so if you have anything.
I think you hit a home run.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yes, Vice Mayor Atwater.
Just want to make council aware in the audience that there is a Senate Bill 636, I think it is, which, as I read it, and it's kind of convoluted language, but it appears to make it more difficult for a beach that gets the critically eroded designation to have it taken away. And that does happen around the state where most of the time it's beaches being added to the list, but occasionally beaches have been removed. But at least as I interpret it, if there is support at the local level financially, it makes it much harder for that to be. So that's something we should just keep an eye on. And it was in a committee that Senator Debbie Mayfield, who's been a good friend of Indian River Shores, is involved in, and it passed, I think, 8-0 in that committee. So it's one we should keep an eye on. So.
All right, excellent point. We will. Thank you very much for the incredibly enlightening presentation, and we'll work closely with you to make sure that we're doing our part.
Yes, and thank you to Town Council. You guys have been wonderful partners in this, helping acquire easements, helping navigate and coordinate the project. You guys also, your staff helped get word out about the project, and then for some of the other aspects we've been working with, your code enforcement staff has also been wonderful to coordinate and work with. Your town manager's phenomenal in doing a lot of good work and a lot of good coordination, a lot of conversations and discussions. Was there anything that you wanted to ask or
No,
discuss?
thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to note, to follow up on Quentin's comment, the cooperation and the time and the dedication of Quentin in particular on a lot of these issues, specifically as it relates to the Sector 4 critically eroded piece, and a lot of the workup before we were able to secure that is greatly appreciated. He's very generous with his time, and I think all the residents are fortunate that he has the position that he does. We're very fortunate. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Appreciate it. Following on the Vice Mayor's comment, I think we should probably think long and hard about supporting the bill, since it took so hard to get us to obtain critically eroded status. Perhaps council can get a copy of the bill circulated, and if deemed appropriate, probably the way the legislative session is going, it's not critical that it happened before the February meeting, but probably sooner rather than later if we can get consensus from council individually and get a letter out supporting the bill. So if you could just circulate that, Pete or Jim, that would be great. Thank you. All right, item number 4, comments from the public regarding agenda items. These are comments from the public regarding any of the published agenda items. All right, seeing none, we move to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Second? Mr. Tedesco, second. Let's see, do we have any, we don't have any things requiring a roll call vote, so we can just do this by voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, it's unanimous. Mayor's report. I'll be brief today. We had a couple of items that I do want to highlight. I passed out an article which probably council members get on their own by doing their own due diligence, but since we're not allowed to talk to each other because of the sunshine law, I always want to make sure. And the article was by a state organization called Tax Watch, who's trying to do the near Herculean task of looking through all the various real estate tax reform proposals and trying to make sense out of them. So Tax Watch came in with its own recommendation, and it gets a little technical, so I'm going to pass that. My broader comment is, since the time I asked this to be passed out, I think there were no less than 3 additional bills filed to deal with property tax reform in the state. I've lost count how many bills are being filed on this particular issue. And initially, the process that we thought was going to take for property tax reform was kind of a smorgasbord of proposals that would go on to an advisory ballot, is the way I looked at it, for a constitutional amendment. Now it looks like there are bills being proposed to address some of these issues. I think the general trend is that they're scaling back and narrowing from, you know, no property taxes whatsoever to more tailored relief, like based on age, how many years you've been here, cutting back the valuations for the homes so that the tax rate, when multiplied against the tax rate, is less. So that's a long-winded way of saying have an interest in it, but I don't think we're anywhere near any kind of definitive kind of reform. Some of these bills, putting on my old lawyer hat, face really grave constitutional challenges, even if they were to pass. I see our town attorney's kind of nodding. We had a conversation about this. So it's not time to panic. It's not even time to think about how this will affect me until we get more information on it. That's my personal opinion on tax issues. But we do get some questions about that, ranging from people getting very excited that they're going to have their taxes eliminated to worrying about how we're going to pay for things. So just keep it going. There is a county planning board meeting. I think we figured the date is a week from today. It's tonight. Okay. County planning board meeting. You don't have to attend. They're supposed to address items of mutual concern for all of us, namely the, kind of the blueprint for the county. So for those that are interested, you can tune in or attend in person. And then lastly, I just wanted to, we were given the privilege, and I was given the privilege on behalf of the town council of swearing in Ed Forst, who's a local resident here on the Treasure Coast, who was President Trump's appointee to be the administrator of the General Services Administration. And he asked that he be sworn in the town of Indian River Shores on Christmas Eve, because he had jury duty in the county. And rather than have what's a really legitimate reason, some of us, know folks who say, my kid's got a soccer game or I have an emergency golf game to get out of jury duty. His civic duty was to do it. So we were privileged to have that opportunity to swear in a high-level federal official. With that, that's the end of the items I have of interest. If there are any questions from council of me, I'm happy to address them.
Mr. Mayor, you were talking about the tax reform in quotes. Are you hearing what I've been hearing, that this is all going to be addressed in a special session, be pushed off there?
Absolutely. I don't, you know, and always be careful what you hear, especially from politicians. And, you know, we're in a position where we can say that because we're not politicians, we're citizen volunteers. That's the way we look at it. I've heard that there's no appetite to really look at this. It's too big an issue to address in the general session. And if it is addressed, it's going to be addressed in a special session. So good luck with that. The special session could last longer than the actual session with the number of bills and proposals floating around. So short answer, yes. Anything else? All right, thank you. Council member items. I know Councilman Alwater, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Alwater, you have a date change request, so.
Yes, please. Sorry. The June 25th meeting moved to a earlier date, I believe, through the town manager. You got some potential dates of either June 15th to 18th, the 22nd or 23rd.
22nd, both are fine with me.
Okay.
What council?
Those dates are all fine with me.
Okay.
22nd.
22nd?
Okay.
All right, so
All right.
let's set it at the 22nd.
Thank you. I appreciate
And you can,
your help.
we'll make a motion in a second, but if you could just let Councilman Altieri know the date change so he can put it in his calendar as far in advance as possible.
All right, so I'll make the motion to move the scheduled regular town council meeting from June 25th to June 22nd, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right, no worries. We
Okay.
can,
A couple other things, just want to note for the audience and those who may watch this on YouTube later. Your town council takes, it's very important to make sure that our pension funds and our retiree medical benefits funds, trust fund, are fully funded. That is a rarity in politics. You take like, for example, city of Chicago, I think they're about 40% funded. Most municipalities think if they get to 80% that they're doing well. I think, and I believe our councilman agree, that's kind of ridiculous. So we had a meeting on the general employee fund this morning before this meeting where we serve as the board of trustees. That fund is 129% funded. The Public Safety Pension Fund, that board is going to have a meeting on Tuesday. I got their report. It's 125% funded. And the Retiree Medical Benefit Fund, because we put money in it years ago, is 217% funded. By these being funded properly years ago, that reduces our actuarially required contributions to those funds on a year after year basis, which keeps your taxes down. So I just want to note that for the record. The other thing I wanted to mention, I know people here on town council have gotten this legislative platform from Florida League of Cities. There's two items that hurt us, and yet they can, and they've done this before, but I'll just note this to the citizens. One is on enterprise fund transfers. So what's an enterprise fund? That is a special accounting fund. The ones in particular that concern us are for utilities. As everybody knows, we get water and sewer services from the city of Vero Beach. They take a profit out of that fund to fund their general fund, public safety and so forth. All of us here that get water and sewer, we pay 6% extra to fund the city of Vero Beach operations. And I argue that percentage is even higher because what they do is they allocate some of their costs that are not legitimate costs that come from the general fund to the utility fund. They add an extra top on that, so it might be closer to 10%. So that's the first thing. And This is an item which everybody here on council, and particularly the mayor, has been fighting something called extraterritorial surcharges. So basically what that is that, say for example, if you got power, electric power from Florida Power and Light, and it just so happens your neighbor is on the other side of a municipal boundary. It's the next city over. But otherwise, there's no difference. Florida Power and Light is not allowed to charge you 5% more than your neighbor for getting the same power. Unfortunately, that's not the case on a municipal utility. That separation line, and there's essentially no difference in terms of providing the cost, they can charge a higher rate. Now, at this point, the city of Vero Beach does not do that, and they promised they won't do that. But you know, that's a concern. So we've been trying to fight against that. Unfortunately, the Florida League of Cities discriminates against the ratepayers in this city. It's things that would not be allowed out of an investor-owned utility like Florida Power and Light or Tampa Electric. The state of Florida allows that, and Florida League of Cities supports it. And I know particularly the mayor has gotten blue in the face complaining about that at meetings that we all attend outside this council meeting. So just want to bring that to the attention of everybody.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Yeah, we'll keep fighting on that, and I think it's going to be challenging this legislative session to try to get some attention on the issue, but it's a basic question of fairness and, well, taxation without representation. So we'll keep fighting on that. If there's nothing else from council, all right, we'll move on to item 8, which is discussion with possible or probable action. We have 2 requests for variances, A and B. These will have to be a quasi-judicial hearing since that's what's required by Florida state law. I asked for some legal advice from our town attorney. For the purposes of hearing, I'm going to ask council for a motion to combine the hearing of items A and B. We will, of course, make a deliberation on each request separately. So without objection from our legal counsel, is that permitted?
Mr. Mayor, that would be fine.
All right. If somebody can make a motion to combine the quasi-judicial hearing for items 8A and 8B into one, and then a second, we can vote on that.
So moved. Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. So procedurally, we will now move to a quasi-judicial proceeding. Mr. Sweeney, if you can lay out the groundwork for this as required, and then we'll swear in the witnesses and have the applicant come up and make their presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very briefly, for the benefit of council, these will be quasi-judicial hearings. It's not a court hearing, but it's more than a typical public presentation. What will happen, as the mayor just said, we will have our clerk swear in anybody that will be providing any testimony today. That will be very brief. I also request that each of you do a quick disclosure of any ex parte communication that you may or may not have had. If you didn't have any, that's fine. Just simply put it on the record. Once we get into the presentation, Mr. Mayor, we would have the applicant come up. The applicant makes their presentation. Any questions for the applicant? And subsequent to that, if there are any comments, there are no interveners, typically an adverse party. So instead, it would just be any public comments, as we typically have, limited to 3 minutes. Once that is done, Mr. Mayor, you will close the hearing, and collectively the board will decide whether to approve or deny the 2 requested variances. Please keep in mind, per our code, that this decision is solely at the town council's discretion. Thank you.
All
so
right.
At this time, it would be appropriate to swear in anybody that would give testimony.
Well, let's do disclosure first. So
yes, sir.
I'll disclose the only ex parte contact I had was to address some questions I had about the visual impact of the proposed project. I did a site visit. There was 1 representative from Johns Island on site. The town manager accompanied me on this site visit. There was no substantive discussion, just, you know, yeah, it's going to go here, it's going to go there. And I believe we asked for a clarifying drawing on a height level, which was subsequently provided to us that Planning and Zoning did not have the benefit of seeing. So that's my ex parte contact. Did you have any ex parte contacts?
I did not.
Right, and you weren't sworn in as a council member anyway, so.
Yeah.
Vice Mayor?
I had a similar ex parte contact on January 15th with Mr. Rex Wilson. I visited the site just to understand what was going on and did just ask him some questions. So.
Councilman Carroll?
I had a brief conversation about a week and a half ago with Mr. Coleclaw from Johns Island about this variance.
Okay, thank you very much. At this point, we can do a group swearing in, as I recall. So anybody who plans to testify in favor of the application, please stand and we'll swear you in. So we're going to have one representative.
Mr. Mayor, we could swear in everybody that way, for or against.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody who plans to be in opposition to it as well?
And we have staff too that may have neutral or objective questions to answer on the record.
Okay. So anybody who wants to take an oath, stand up and we'll give you an oath.
All persons wishing to testify would raise their right hand. Do you solemnly affirm that the evidence to be given will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you very much. Please proceed. Come on up and you can make your case.
And if you could just please make sure you speak well into the microphone.
Had to lower it a little bit after the last speaker. Good morning. My name is Blaine Bergstresser. I'm with KMA Engineering and Surveying. I'm the engineer of record for the project, and I'm representing the applicant here. So as we stated, this is the exact location of the proposed parking garage, so I wanted to give this to you as a visual. As you can see, it's just south of the main entrance into the club. You have the clubhouse right there to the northwest, and then the existing maintenance buildings for the golf course right to the south. This is a rendering of an east elevation of the parking garage. So this is when you're coming on Silver Moss through the club. This is what you'll see. As you can see, the cars pulling in. This would be them pulling into the, what we'll call the main entrance of the parking garage. No, it's okay. Oh, no, it started working again. Oh, thank you. Where was it? Oh, okay, perfect. This is actually a rendering from the west elevation. So this would be kind of like you're in the existing clubhouse parking lot. This would be looking at the entrance coming from the west side. I apologize, that was actually the north side. This is a zoomed in version of the elevation from the west side coming into the main entrance. Currently, where the proposed parking garage is going, it's in an area that's zoned open space and recreation district. As you can see, that's highlighted in the green. Just to the south of us is a zoning of R2A, which is multifamily residential district. And then as you can see, the other parcel to the north is also zoned open space and recreation districts. There we go. So how the code reads, when you're zoned open space, you actually fall under the criteria for a C1A commercial. So this is just a quick thing on what the required setbacks are for the front, the side, and the rear, as well as what the maximum height allowed. So with us being in the C1A criteria, we have to follow minimum 2 stories and 30 feet of height with 25 front setbacks, rear setbacks, and a side setback of 50. The main reason we're here is we're requesting a variance from that 30 feet to 31.5 feet. This is an exhibit that we've shared with the council that was not available to the P&Z board. So this shows the north elevation of the building. And as you can see, I highlighted on here where we're actually measuring the height. So measuring the height per how the code reads, the tallest point of the building would be 31 feet 6 inches. There you go. All right, this is just another view of the south elevation, highlighting the same height here. The top of the wall would be at 31 feet 6 inches. And then just quickly, the other two elevations. The red line shows the distinction of where the top of that wall is. I put this slide in here because I just wanted to point out is the zoning around us for compatibility-wise is R2A. And if this parcel was zoned R2A, we would fall under the thing of a code requirement of 3 stories, 40 feet. There we go. One of the items that came up in P&Z is, as we showed earlier, those renderings were kind of giving you an idea of how the parking garage looked to, people who are on club property. But there was some concern about how this would actually look to people who were driving along A1A. So we performed call this kind of a site study. So what this is depicting is, say you're driving in your car southbound on A1A, you're looking out. When you take into account the existing vegetation buffer you have along the right-of-way right there in A1A, they're roughly about 20 to 24 feet of height when it comes to those trees. This line shows you the exact angle of view looking up. So if you're looking up through your car with the existing vegetations, you will not be able to see the front of this parking garage from A1A. And like I said, that was something that the P&Z board brought up, and we wanted to present you guys an exhibit to show what that actual view would look like. This is just a kind of to visualize for you what that building would look like. So this is the existing clubhouse that exists out there. So if you're looking at the clubhouse from the south, the top of the roof, which I have highlighted there, is at 38 feet 6 inches, or excuse me, just 38 feet as it is. So the parking garage, where we have it, will actually be lower than where the top of the clubhouse is. And then this is just an east elevation of as well. This is also shown where the highlighted is, that it's another height of 38 feet. Since we're combining both hearings into one, this is just the exhibit of the setbacks. So as you can see, this is the footprint of the existing parking garage, or excuse me, the proposed parking garage. As you can see in the front, we're asking for a setback of 1.3 feet, and then in the back, we're asking for a setback of 0.5 feet. As you can see right here, the blue lines are the property lines for this parcel. And then, like I said, this, I just wanted to show a zoomed in aerial. The red is roughly the footprint of what the parking garage is going to look like. As you can see, there is an existing parking lot in this location. With the parking garage going there, the club would go to gain another 160 additional parking spaces in this area. So I'm just here to answer any questions you guys might have, or any specifics.
Any questions from council, starting left to right? One question, and maybe you were just dealing with Dave first, but I think your presentation dealt with the 1.5 foot variance request, but the setback. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. So, per the code of the C1A, we're required to have 25-foot setbacks on the front of the property and 25 setbacks on the rear, which is the golf course. So what we're requesting is for the 1.5 and the 0.5 on the rear and the front. As you can see, if we were to meet the code requirement of a 25-foot setback for this structure, based on the irregular shape of how the lot kind of squeezes in right here, you wouldn't really be able to fit any type of structure in that area. One of the things to think about when it comes to setback variances also is how does that affect your neighbors in close proximity? When you look at this, where the location of the parking garage is going, the only neighbors we have is the golf course to the west, which is the same owner, it's owned by the club, and then to the east is actually the private right-of-way for the road for Silver Moss. And so that is actually owned by, I believe, the POA, who has submitted a letter of support for this project.
Okay, thank you. And I take it, I don't know if you're the right person to ask this question too, but even though it's not abutting, you know, across, when I did the site visit, across the golf course, there are some homes. There was no objection by any of the neighbors there.
No, there was no objections, and everyone was notified. As you can see, we looked at this. There's two homes that are to the west. Just to the north of them is a parking lot for the clubhouse, but there's vast vegetation between the two holes, because you can see there's the green there and the tee box for the next one. So there is quite a distance between that house to the west and the proposed parking garage.
Okay, all right. So was there any objection received by staff or to the project? Any objection from the public?
No one testified at the PZV hearing, and other than that, staff just presented all the, all the information through our agenda item.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Thank you, I have no questions. Anything further? Anybody change their mind and wish to testify in opposition? Okay. All right, so I guess we now move to the point of deliberation. We'll start with item A. First off, what is staff's position on this, Mr. Harpring?
Well, as noted in the transmissions, the applicants have met all the technical requirements and the criteria of the ordinance. They've addressed the items in the variance. The question will be the weight that you give to all of those to include the testimony.
All right, understood. So without objection, we can start deliberation? Yes, sir. For those of you that were expecting people's court, like we adjourn and then come back, that's not how it works here. We're under the Sunshine Law, so we've got to give our thought process to you publicly. So if, without objection, I'm happy to kick it off and start. Okay. All right, first of all, I did note that, we do note that the planning and zoning, which on these types of requests makes basically an advisory recommendation to council, but council still has the statutory responsibility to review the materials and to make an independent determination. In legal parlance, it's called a de novo review. So I don't discount lightly what our dedicated people in planning and zoning do. And I note that the vote was 2-1, 2-1 being in opposition to the petition for the variance. We had 3 out of 5 members there, so I will give some discount to the fact that we did not have, although we had a quorum, we did not have a full complement of members of the planning and zoning. As I said, I greatly respect the people that were on it, and I understand also that they did not have the benefit of all the information that we had once we saw the paperwork come up to us. In particular, when I first saw the drawings, I will confess I had some concerns. It looked like it was a fairly substantial project, and I worried what it was going to look like from A1A. It seemed to me that it was frankly larger than what it appeared to be when I did the site visit. I did ask for a drawing that would show the sight line from the proposed garage to the current clubhouse, in the top of the clubhouse of Johns Island, which shows that it's equal to or less than the view from the road. In doing a pedestrian walk and a bicycle ride and also a drive-by, I came to the conclusion that it would not be visible, and even if there was an exfoliation event during a hurricane, there would be minimum visibility for a while until the foliage grew back. Going to the legal criteria that's applicable here, the notion whether or not it was self-created. We don't have a statutory definition of self-created in our town code. So self-created is, there's an expression in law called that equity is as long as the chancellor's foot, meaning you might get a different decision from somebody based upon their shoe size. So we all can come to different conclusions about what a self-created event is. Some are going to be more obvious than others. This one, to me, not only is not obvious, I don't think I could twist the notion of a self-created hardship to fit something that was the occurrence of over 40 or 50 years. Johns Island was blessed with an increase in number of members, an increased number of guests. You take a risk when you have a business, and it's a club, but it is a business. They could have just as easily had fewer members and fewer guests and not has been as successful and financially responsible. So the natural occurrence of demographic shifts, popularity in an area, I don't think that fits my definition of self-created. Is it unique to the property? I think it is unique to the property. We do have, you know, the uniqueness of the presentation and the testimony that was unrebutted, that was put forward, both for the setback and for the height restriction. It is unique to the property because of, you know, the location of where it is and the adjacent nature of the property. And I'm not going to say anomaly because these are all arbitrary lines, but as you pointed out, if you were in one zone as opposed to another, there wouldn't be a problem. And we've got plenty of buildings that are 40 feet and higher in the town of Indian River Shores, which surprised me, the number of buildings we have 40 feet and higher. Lastly, on the hardship, personal experience is no substitute. So when Mr. Harpring and I pulled in fairly early in the morning to have a look at the site, we drove around for a few minutes before we could find a parking spot, and we had to walk a fairly uncomfortable distance. So I think it would be a hardship to the applicant not to have sufficient parking to accommodate its more recently found popularity of people attending Johns Island Function, both as members and guests. I also see, don't know that this falls into the hardship category, but it also falls into the effect on the public. With the inability to find parking spaces, both at events at night and during the day, traffic sometimes backs up from the parking lot where people self-park and valet park through the security booth back into A1A because there's an inability for that traffic to move smoothly and then park in it. So hardship, public convenience. If I'm creating a new factor, my apologies, but I do think it's important. It puts a strain on our public safety department as well to have to accommodate those kind of traffic patterns which occur. As I said, in full disclosure, I'm not a member of Johns Island, but I'm lucky to attend some events there when invited, and you know, I've seen the problem of backing up into A1A personally with my own eyes. So for that reason, on number 8A, I would be in favor of approving the variance. In terms of 8B, now understanding the setback, I'm in favor of that as well. So we will then we'll now turn the discussion over to other members of council. We'll start from left to right, working down the dais, and then we will take a formal vote on this. All right, so Councilman Carroll.
I'll be much more brief than the mayor, whose presentation was excellent. Thank you very much for that. I've been a member of Johns Island for 30 years. I appreciate greatly the need for the parking garage, and I am in favor of granting a variance for both A and B.
Vice Mayor Elwater.
So I considered a number of the factors you did. You brought some other ones up that frankly I didn't think about. I agree with Councilman Carroll. He gave an excellent review of it, so I would be in favor of both variances as well.
Councilman Tedesco.
My only question, which I think the mayor answered, was I wondered if there were any implications on precedent here, and I gather that's not the case. And based on that, I'm in favor.
All right, thank you. In terms of precedent, these are, and you know, Mr. Sweeney gets paid to keep me out of trouble, so correct me if I'm wrong. These are all what we call ad hoc. They're all on a case-by-case basis. The criteria are generally designed to be flexible so that you can take a look at each case on its individual merits. And so there's no precedent that's going to be set that automatically somebody's going to be entitled to a variance because they want a 31.5-foot parking garage.
That's absolutely correct. Every single parcel and every single variance application ever is a unique application. Consider them like court cases in the sense that each one at trial is evaluated on its own. So that's absolutely correct.
I appreciate your explanation. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Great, thank you. All right, if there's no discussion among council, I'll ask for public comment at this point. Is there any public comment on this, either for or against? Yes? I'm against it. Okay, well, you have to approach the podium, tell us your name, the community where you live if you don't want to give your address, and, just let us know what your objection is.
Hi, I'm Joanne Sardella. I'm on Pebble Lane, and I think that thing's too big.
Yeah, you have to press the microphone, yeah.
It's green. It's on. It's on. Joanne Sardella, Pebble Lane. I think it's too big.
Okay, thank you very much for your comment. Is there anybody else that wishes to make a comment either for or against? Okay, at this point, I'm going to close public comment, close the quasi-judicial hearing, and we will now move to a vote on the proposal. So we'll begin with item 8A, which is the review of the variance request for the, let's call it the 1.5-foot variance. And is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
point of order, it's technically 1.5 feet and also a third story. I just want to be absolutely clear that's what the applicant requested.
Understood. So as corrected by our town council, can you repeat the motion and second, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
And a second.
All right, thank you very much. Let's take a roll call vote on this. I know we don't have to, but can you call the roll, please?
Mayor Foley,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Atwater,
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll,
Aye.
Councilmember Tedesco.
Aye.
Let the record show the motion passes 4-0.
Okay, item 8B. This would be a motion to approve the setback request. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Can you call the roll, please?
Mayor Foley, Vice Mayor Atwater,
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll,
Aye.
Councilmember Tedesco. Let the record show the motion passes 4-0.
All right, thank you. And, I know a member of Planning and Zoning is here. Thank you very much for your hard work on this. It's what makes a horse race, right? People come to different conclusions on different things. I think we did have the benefit of seeing some additional information that Planning and Zoning didn't. By no means does this mean that we don't value the incredibly good work that you do for us. And in fact, you make our jobs much more easy than they would be by distilling all this information. So we have relatively few questions thrown at us. So thank you very much on behalf of the Council to Planning and Zoning. All right, we are done with item 8. We'll now move to staff updates, building official report, and statistics.
Good morning,
Good morning,
Mr.
Mr.
Mayor.
Held.
Good morning. Good morning, Vice Mayor and members of council. I don't have anything additional to add for last month's update.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Held? Vice Mayor?
So I'm looking at other permits, and year-to-date, they're up 40%. Just curious as to what's going on there.
Regarding the other permits, those are just, basically, we have had an uptick in permits outside of the, let's say, for example, outside of the alteration permits. So I'm really unsure of your question, Vice Mayor. Exactly what are you trying to
Well, I'm
ask
just
me?
trying to understand, it says other permits miscellaneous. I'm just curious as to what that is relative to new construction and additions and alterations.
Okay, so what are other permits
Yes.
exactly?
Yes.
Okay, yes, sir. those would be like the generators, gas lines, anything to do with like stucco repairs, and things of that nature, anything outside of the alteration permits.
Okay.
So,
Okay, I just saw a jump, and I was just wondering what was going on,
Right.
because the other statistics are very stable year over year.
correct.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Held. Code enforcement, 9B.
Good morning. Other than what's already on the last month's report, I have no further updates. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Anything on code enforcement? Councilman
I
Carroll?
would like to commend Jake on the timeliness, thoroughness, and explicitness of your responses to recent communications from resident on Beachcomber about the clearing of the lot. Well done.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anything from anybody else, or? All right, thank you, Mr. Mike Arns, Inspector Mike Arns, excuse me. Public Works Department,
Council, we have Mr. Wiltse here, who's are doing all the hard work in the field. You do have the report. We do have some ongoing items relative to the MS4, NPDES, and stormwater things that we have compliance responsibilities for. Just want to appreciate Max's work on a lot of that, because he's out in the field checking all of our stormwater items, and there's a pretty fair amount if you ever want to come by and check out the Stormwater Atlas. There's a lot going on out there, so we're appreciative of that, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
none for me, just thank you. I see you out there on your handy all flying around doing your job, so thank you for the hard work that you're putting in.
Thank you.
Anything on Public Works for questions? No? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the Town Treasurer. We are in the midst of budget season and audit season, aren't we? So.
Yep, we are hopefully going to be wrapping up. I have to send all the pension information to the auditors this week after the pension meeting on Tuesday. Hopefully, they'll be presenting the financial statements at the March meeting. So that is the goal at the moment. I have no other further updates beyond what's in my report.
Okay, thank you very much. So I take it you took some comfort from the fact that, at least I don't think we're going to be seeing any elimination of real estate property taxes, so you're not going to have to figure out where we're going to pay our bills from. All right, good. And by saying that, I'm in favor of tax reforms. I think people are always taxed too much, not too little, but we need to think about this with a scalpel and not an atomic bomb. So.
We are starting the budget process already too. So.
Yes, good. All right. When can we expect that? Is February to? No, I'm just kidding. All right. But budget typically is late spring, early summer, right?
We will be presenting the budget to the Finance Committee in late May, and we will do the budget hearing in July.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Anything for Heather? No? All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public Safety. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council. The only thing I'd like to update or add in addition to the report is, now that we're in full season, our officers have taken efforts to increase our traffic enforcement, and I'm happy to report that as a result, in December, we only had 2 crashes reported. Both were minor, no injuries, and so far this month to date, we've had none.
Terrific. Thank you very much, and thank you for the presence. It's noticeable during this busy season. The increased presence is palpable, and you probably only hear complaints. I hear appreciation for slowing down the traffic, making the conditions safer for pedestrians. So, thank you for ensuring the safety of our people in every which way you do it. So,
of course, thank you, Mr.
Anything
Mayor.
for public safety?
Yes, I'd like to commend the Public Safety Department for the presence of the officer early in the morning at the south gate of Johns Island, who does an extraordinarily good job of directing traffic, always with a smile on his face.
Yes, he does. Thank you, Mr. Carroll.
Okay, I think that's it. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Town Attorney, Mr. Sweeney?
Mr. Mayor, I have no updates, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the Town Attorney? No? We just look forward to, as things kind of start shaking out, you usually do an excellent job giving us the synopsis of bills to watch. I think the session is still searching for its identity. Legislative sessions have a certain rhythm to them, and some deal with condominium reforms, some deal with taxes, some deal with online restrictions for minors. There's really no identity to this yet, and we'll just have to wait and see where it shakes out.
As we continue to move through session, I'll keep council informed, and of course, if you have any bills that come up, please let me know.
Certainly will. Thank you. Town Manager, Mr. Harpring.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. I don't have anything additional outside of what we've discussed. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, but I always want to make haste to thank the great team that we have here that makes a lot of really good stuff happen for the residents, known and unknown. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to council committee reports or non-action items. First of all, thank you, Vice Mayor, for going to the meeting in my stead. I had an unavoidable conflict, but at least you got a free lunch out of it. So with that, we'll start. Councilman Tedesco is newly on council, so I know you don't have your committees.
Nothing to report.
Right. On that, that's the best kind of report, by the way, so especially at the end of a long meeting. The item I guess we should take up is formally designating Councilman Tedesco to assume Councilman Dane's positions or have discussion with council as to who's going to fill those roles, either next meeting. We should probably do that. So,
James, I'll defer to you if you want to make comment, but we've had discussions with the clerks about the timing and the presentation to council on that.
So I'll be sending out the list of the appointments that need to be filled. We will be putting out that up for the agenda in February.
perfect. Thank you very much. So that's good news for us, bad news for you. You get more work. Okay.
Okay, well, if we're not going to do that today, we have a Treasure Coast Regional League of Cities meeting, I think, in between. Maybe I'm incorrect on that, so should I just take that if I'm around as the alternate, or can?
I can take it if you
All
prefer.
right,
We can work it out through.
I believe the February meeting is February 17th, which is a week earlier, and I think that usually takes place the week of our council meeting. So I think it may, if we were to appoint on the 17th, but I can check those dates.
All right, okay.
How about this, not to overly complicate something that shouldn't be complicated, but I'm happy to go to it, or if you go to it, but since it's a public meeting, we can go with Peter and make an introduction as a new council member.
All right, we'll figure that out.
So we'll figure that out.
Okay.
We have to drive in separate cars, I know this, but there's a kabuki dance that we have to do on this, but at least we can make an introduction to the other folks at League of Cities. All right, and did you have a report on?
Yeah, I'll just, I had two meetings, Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. Unfortunately, very little went on, and that's a meeting where you got to drive all the way down to Stewart. The Treasure Coast Council of Local Governments, I guess the most interesting thing was a discussion about the potential AI data center in St. Lucie County. It's, as I understand it, it's right on the border with Indian River County. So there was a discussion about potential impacts on electric rates. In this case would be Florida Power and Light rates that we all pay. This is a big issue around the country. For example, Northern Virginia, for some reason, is just loaded with AI data centers, and rates have skyrocketed to residents as a result of that. Now, supposedly, what went on up in Tallahassee, one of the gentlemen at the meeting said that there is going to be a separate rate tariff for those type of centers, which should, in theory, not impact our residential rates, but maybe just something we need to keep an eye on. So other than that, nothing else. So.
All right, thank you, Vice Mayor. Mr. Carroll?
Yes, on Tuesday I attended the monthly meeting of the Economic Development Council, and we heard a follow-up presentation from the consulting group retained by the county to encourage economic development. I have nothing specific to report in terms of results, but they're making good headway and making progress, and I think that they'll eventually benefit the county. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman Carroll. Item 13, we're going to have call to the audience. I understand there's a small business association. Yes, there you are, please.
I'll wait and see if anybody else wants to go first.
Does anybody else want to go first? Not on small business administration, on anything that's on your mind. This is the time for the public to say what's ever on their mind about anything, the annexation of Greenland, parking spaces, whatever you like. So, all right, we've got it refined down now to the small business administration presentation and how it impacts us. So thank you for coming. Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Julie Garrett. I'm a public affairs specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration's Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. Having watched Mr. Bergman's presentation, I'm guessing you're well aware of the disaster loan program from all the hurricanes you've been through, so I'm not going to give you a lot of details about that. The reason I'm here is there was an unnamed storm, like he said, you are having, and it primarily hit up in Titusville, and Brevard County is primary for this small agency declaration. But Indian River County is contiguous to Brevard, and if any of your residents had damages from that storm, sometimes people on low land or in a particular geographic area will have some damage, even if it isn't widespread throughout the county. That is why I'm here, just to let you know about this. So the declaration was for October 26th. There was basically a flash flood up there, severe storms and flooding. October 26th of last year, people have until March 6th to apply if they had damage that wasn't covered by their insurance. So you have that information, and I've sent it to Janice. But also, I wanted to just explain that with disaster loans, something that people aren't aware of is that you can add mitigation funding to a disaster loan. In the future, hopefully you won't have more hurricanes, but let's say you do have a hurricane. If people want to get a disaster loan and add mitigation funding on, it's at 20% of their physical loss. And they have up to 2 years to add that to their loan. The disaster loan mitigation funding can be used for Elevate Florida. It can be used for engineering studies or elevating a structure, or for the 25% cost share. And people are usually really happy to learn about that. Also, if they do wind mitigation to their homes, they can sometimes get a break on their homeowner's insurance. So basically, that's just what I wanted to share with you. You have the packets and the information. If anybody is interested in applying, they have until March 6th. And you can apply at sba.gov disaster and call our 800 number for help, 800-659-2955. And thank you for allowing me to speak with you.
Well, thank you for, for speaking today and bringing that to our attention. We will include that in our email blast, and March 6th will be here before you know it. I don't know that we're going to have, that many applicants given kind of the demographic of the community, but it's good to know that that folks have that available. So let's get the word out, and we'll take it from there. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Great. Anybody else? All right, we are adjourned then until the February meeting. So, and February meeting is the 17th. Okay, thank you very much.